the next story here, U.S. Navy loses an FA-18 fighter jet during Houthi attack in the Red Sea. So a U.S. official has told CNN that the U.S. Navy lost an FA-18 Super Hornet fighter jet that fell off the aircraft carrier USS Harry Truman in the Red Sea during a Houthi attack on the U.S. warship. The Navy said in a statement that the $60 million jet, $60 million, and I think that's the lower estimate. I've seen other estimates that they're worth $70 million, even maybe more than that. That's just for one plane. So the Navy said that the jet was, quote, actively under tow in the hangar bay when the move crew lost control of the aircraft. The aircraft and tow tractor were lost overboard, end quote. The Navy said that the sailors took immediate action to move clear of the aircraft before it fell overboard, and that only one sustained minor injuries. A U.S. official speaking to CNN said that the FA-18 fell overboard while the Harry Truman was making a hard turn to avoid a Houthi attack. And earlier in the day, as I said, Ansar announced missile and drone attacks on the Harry Truman. So some people initially think that this might be a cover-up, that the Houthis actually shot down the F-18. But based on my reading of it, I mean, we saw the Houthi announcement. They didn't claim that they shot down the plane. And I feel like this is even more embarrassing, that they had to make a hard turn and the plane fell off and sank in the Red Sea. More embarrassing than it getting shot down, maybe. But it also tells us something. I mean, if this is really how it went down, and the aircraft carrier had to make a hard turn to avoid a Houthi attack, that means that whether it was a drone or a Houthi missile made it through, air defenses to the point where they had to make a maneuver to actually avoid an attack. And I really do think if this goes on and on and on, this bombing campaign and everything, this war in the Red Sea, there's a very good chance of American sailors getting killed. I know U.S. Navy warships have like the most advanced air defenses in the world, basically. In one case last year during Biden's bombing campaign in Yemen, a Houthi drone made it to the last layer of, I believe it was a U.S. Navy destroyer, the last layer of those air defenses, which is essentially just a machine gun. So they used that machine gun to shoot down the drone. So there's always the chance of a drone slipping through, or a missile, a ballistic missile, and that could do some serious damage to an aircraft carrier, especially if you have the whole crew out on the deck. So, this is the risk that Trump is putting the U.S. Navy at by conducting this bombing campaign. And so what else is there here about this incident? So, this is actually the second FA-18 that the U.S. has lost in the Red Sea. In December 2024, so this was during Biden's bombing campaign, the U.S. military announced that it lost an FA-18 in a friendly fire incident in the Red Sea. According to reports at the time, the jet was shot down right after a Houthi missile and drone attack, suggesting it was mistaken for a projectile fired from Yemen. So this is another case. A lot of people think that the Houthis shot it down, and they did announce that the F-18 was shot down during their attack. But actually, if you read their statement at the time, they essentially said that it looked like it was shot down by the U.S. destroyer. So essentially, what I believe happened is that the Houthis were firing missiles and drones. This F-18 took off, and then a U.S. destroyer shot down the F-18. I believe that that's probably what happened here in this case. And then there's also the MQ-9 Reaper drones. The Houthis have shot down 21 of them since October 2023, and that each of them is worth $30 million. So then that's $630 million in drones, now $120 million in F-18s. So what is that? $750 million just in aircraft that they lost, plus all the munitions. The U.S. has spent billions and billions on this. And of course, one man's spending is another man's profit. There's a lot of profit to be made here for the military industrial complex. But I mean, this all just goes to show what a failure this bombing campaign has been. If the stated goal is really to stop the Houthi attacks on Israel and on the U.S., and the fact is that the U.S. launched this bombing campaign on behalf of Israel. They started bombing Yemen again when the Houthis announced that they would reimpose their blockade on Red Sea shipping in response to Israel violating the Gaza ceasefire. A senior member of Ansar Allah's political bureau has said that they would stop attacks on U.S. warships if the U.S. stopped bombing Yemen, but that they would continue the attacks on Israel. And the U.S. has shown no interest in that, despite Pete Hegseth and Trump himself saying that if the Houthis stop attacking U.S. ships, we'll stop bombing them. Well, they're saying that they will stop, but the U.S. continues to bomb Yemen because this is really about Israel, and that's what President Trump is putting the U.S. Navy at risk for Israel, not for the United States. No, it's a completely unauthorized, illegal bombing campaign, illegal war. All right, and it's completely immoral, as we see all these civilian casualties, of course.